Hello. We're gonna do another story time today. I hope you guys are enjoying these. I know my first one did the best out of all of them, and I feel like it's probably because boobs is in the title. How lovely is that? I love YouTube for that. Anyway, that wasn't like purposeful or anything. That was just the first like interesting story I thought of, and I was like, I could tell that on YouTube. I could start doing that on YouTube a lot, actually. I have a lot of stories. So it was just my intro to this. And it did really well. And I was like, oh, people might like these. But now I'm realizing that might just be, might just like that one story because it is about boobs. So dumb. But if you're enjoying these because you enjoy them, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've subscribed by now and make sure to like this video if you end up liking it. This is going to be kind of more of a sad story, so I hope you're able to stay tuned. I would say trigger warning for this one. I don't know what. I would say I'm going to be talking about drugs, and I'm going to be talking about certain kinds of abuse, like emotional abuse, and then abandonment is a big one that's going to be in here. So if you can't really handle any of those, I totally understand. Stay tuned for other story times that I have, but this one is like kind of a major part of my life, and it happened long enough ago now that I can talk about it, but it's definitely hard to hear. So yeah, if you can watch it, feel free to. If you can't, I totally understand you clicking away. So today I'm going to be telling you about the time my ex left me in another state. So there's a lot of backstory to this, and I'm going to get into it. A lot of the backstory so that you guys can kind of understand what happened here. Also, you guys are going to get to see my hair dry throughout this video. It's still pretty wet. My bangs always dry first, so my bangs are dry, but the rest of my hair is kind of still wet. Don't know if you can tell. You probably can't even tell. So, basically, I'm pretty sure my ex did this all on purpose. He was looking for a girl to take advantage of in any way possible. I was only 21 when this all happened. I am now 28. So this was a while ago for sure, but it was in my formative years of like building relationships and like building myself up. And so this happening at such a young age definitely didn't help me get like, it didn't help me turn into an adult very easily, if that makes sense. Because it was like so traumatizing for me. And my past affected me a lot before that anyway. So I was already kind of traumatized, if that makes sense. So it sucks that I kept going through more trauma at such a young age, relationship-wise and at home-wise. I'm going to tell you guys another story in another video about my house fire that happened. That actually happened right after I got out of high school and right after I got this dog as a present. It was really a crazy time, but I'll tell that story in another video. So anyway, a lot has happened to me in my formative years, and it's really interesting how it's affected me, how much therapy I've had to go through for it, how my relationships have been so affected by it. Yeah, it's really interesting. Therapy is definitely recommended for everybody, I would say. But, so, my ex messaged me on Facebook. That's how we met. So that's why to this day I have a horrible, like, I'm completely against meeting guys on Facebook. If you've never met them before and you don't know who they are, do not meet them on Facebook and start conversations with them, because let's just say this guy turned out to be really, really bad. And he wasn't the first guy that I'd met on Facebook that things went really, really bad with when I was younger. So I would say definitely, especially when you're young, a young woman or a young man, stay away from people that you're just meeting on Facebook or just meeting online, because it's generally like the only way that they can meet people, because they are so bad in real life. So they tend to go to meeting people online, vulnerable people that they can take advantage of. So just not good news overall, especially if you're young. So if you're watching this and you're a young person, I'm so glad that you can watch this and take my advice. Please take my advice. So I met this guy. Things were going really well for a while. Honestly, really well. My phone popped up pictures of us the other day that my phone still has saved. I don't know how or why. I must have backed them up like on my phone a while ago, back when we were still together. But it's really weird to look at these pictures. I was such a tiny little woman. I guess I'll put one picture here. I was small and he was huge. So there were a few arguments that we did end up having, and he would be really, really scary. He got really aggressive during these arguments. And like, it was so long ago, I don't specifically remember what they would start about, but it would be really stupid things, like young people relationship fights, you know? But what isn't normal about them is that he would end up throwing things. I remember he threw something at my mom's china cabinet and it broke. And my mom to this day is really upset about that because it was my mother's great-grandmother's china cabinet. So it's been through history with our family, and he ended up breaking the glass on it, and it was almost impossible for my mom to find and figure out how to get that glass fixed on that special little cabinet. So yeah, and I remember that argument being terrifying once he threw something. Like, I was like, whoa, okay, not what I expected. And then after that, I remember our relationship kind of got more rocky. He ended up finding out that he had a warrant for his arrest in the town that we lived in, and which was my hometown. And that really freaked him out. So he ended up never wanting to leave the house. And that was bad for our relationship as well, because we ended up not being able to do anything anymore. He wouldn't want to go out of the house at all to do anything. He wouldn't even want to go to the park with me. He wouldn't want to go on walks with me, drive around with me, absolutely nothing. He was scared crapless of getting arrested because he found out he had a warrant. Mind you, when he had met me and messaged me on Facebook, and right when we met, he had just gotten out of jail. So I should have known that he was like a bad character. However, I was so young that I didn't. And my family around me wasn't very like in my life to the point of like being there for me to tell me, hey, that guy isn't good news. You probably shouldn't be with him, which is what normal family should do, I feel like. I should have known, but I didn't because I was so young, and he really was manipulative. When we first met, all he did was gaslight the hell out of me. And my sister was telling me about it the other day, about how she remembers specifically how this guy would gaslight me. How this guy would love bomb me. That's what it's called, love bombing. This guy would really love bomb me in the beginning of our relationship, to the point where I was like, oh, he must love me. Like, that must be what love is, right? So we ended up together for like 7 months. And at this point, he'd found out he had the warrant for his arrest, so he was really scared. He didn't want to be there anymore at all. And he wasn't in contact with his family, really. He had some major issues with that. He didn't ever want to talk about it. It was really interesting. And I kind of would pry sometimes, and it wouldn't go well at all. And then he heard from his family and got back in touch with them, and he was extremely excited about this. I don't remember the exact circumstances to why this happened, but it did. They reached out to him. Maybe it's because he'd gotten out of jail. I'm not sure. So also my mind is going to be a little bit foggy trying to remember this because it was 7 years ago. So, and it was traumatic for me. So there are some things my brain is like still foggy about. If I do remember things while I'm editing this or after I film this, I will try to put them in here and like clear up the story more. So anyway, when his family reached out to him, he had the bright idea to ask them if he could move in with them, because they were in a complete other state. It was roughly 14 hours away of a drive. So 14 hours away from where we lived, complete other state. he thought it was the best idea ever because he would get away from his warrant that he had in the current state we were in. And I was like, I was really scared, honestly. He wanted me to come move with him. I think mainly because he didn't have a car and I had a car. So I was his way to get there. I'm not sure if he planned to stay with me for long after we got there, or if just our relationship fell apart and he did plan to stay with me. I'm not exactly sure, honestly, and I'm not sure I'll ever know. Because of what happens that I will get to. So we had a dog together. It wasn't her. I'd had her already for a couple years by this time. It was another dog. It was a German Shepherd named Dora. She was so adorable. I loved her so much. And my boyfriend didn't want to fix her. He wanted to have puppies with her. So it was the first dog that I'd ever had that had diapers. And she would have her period. And the diapers that she would wear were for her period to like capture the blood. It was just like pads for human women, but they were diapers for a dog, and you had to like pull the tail through and everything. It sucked, honestly, mainly because he made me do all of it. He did not want to do it, probably because he was a guy and it grossed him out. But it grossed me out too, man. Like, as somebody who has a problem with blood already, like I get kind of queasy when it comes to blood. So for me, having a period is already tough, but to deal with somebody else's or another being's blood all the time, it was depressing. It was really, really nasty at times because you have to sit there and wash out their diaper in a sink before you put it in the washer, because you don't want to just throw it in the washer with a bunch of blood soaked in it. So you sit there and you wash it in the sink and just watch all the blood come out, and you smell it, and it's not the best. It's really not. So anyway, we were going to move with her, but it turned out that his family didn't want us to take her. She was too big of a dog. So he was absolutely devastated. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they didn't want us to take her. I can't remember, but probably because when we moved there, it was in a double wide trailer. So there wasn't much room, and there was a lot of his family living in this one trailer that we moved into. So I'm pretty sure that's why. Or my mom wanted to keep her. I can't remember. I think my mom might have wanted to keep her. So anyway, I remember it was the first time I'd ever seen true emotion from him when he found out that we couldn't take that dog. And later, after thinking about it, it really made me think that he cared more about the dog than he did me, because he literally cried when he found out we couldn't take her with us. And I'm not sure if it was a real cry or if it was just like a fake man cry. It was kind of when people go like, it was kind of like that. And so I don't know if it was a real cry or not, or if that was how he cried. It might have been. It's because men don't like to cry, so maybe that's why. So anyway, we ended up leaving. I really wish I told this story right after it happened so that I could give you guys all the details from my memory, but I just don't remember it very well because it was so traumatizing. But we took a road trip there, I think, once before actually moving there. We drove 14 hours several times to go see his family and then eventually to move there. There was a lot of road trip vibes, okay? And I ended up, after this, finding out that I got a infection because we were road tripping so much and so often, and I was such a nervous wreck that I hadn't changed my pad frequently enough once, because we were like going into nasty gas stations and it was really creepy at night, and he wouldn't come inside with me to these gas stations. So I remember like a few times just not changing my pad because I was just in too much of a rush, or I would forget because I knew he was waiting for me and he would get mad if I took too long. So I just ended up kind of going too long with the same pad, which is not healthy for you. So yeah, at the end of all of this happening, when I finally ended up at home again, not to spoil anything, but I ended up at home again, thank God, I found out that I had an infection. So that really sucked. Anyway, so we did a lot of road tripping. We finally ended up in the state that we were moving to. My family very reluctantly let me go. They were kind of like, they didn't fully trust him, but I very clearly fully trusted him. So they were just going along with me, my little 21-year-old ass. I don't know why my family would do this, why they would just kind of let a 21-year-old make this type of major decision to pick up her life and leave with a guy that she just met 7 months before, that she wasn't married to, that he didn't show a lot of signs that he loved her. Like, there was a lot of kind of issues between them sometimes. Those are red flags that kind of you should maybe think more about moving away with somebody before you do that. Anyway, they reluctantly let me go. I brought this one because she is my life. She's my world. And I'm pretty sure they let me take her. Maybe we couldn't take the other dog because my mom wanted to keep her. I think that's probably why. My mom really loved that dog. So, but sadly, after me and my ex moved away, my mom got rid of the dog. She's very much like that. My whole life, she's gotten rid of dogs randomly. Like, she just will get sick of them. So it's really sad to say that, but it's true. That's how my mom has been my whole life. And it's been a devastating, traumatizing life having animals and then losing them sometimes. So I've had my dog since she was 4 months old. And she's almost 9 now. No. I think she's almost 10 now. This month, she's gonna be 10.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. I love you. Love you. You're perfect.
Yeah, it's just another weird character trait you'll learn that my mom has many of. So anyway, we took my dog, and it was a very, very long journey. And mind you, my ex, he was on some drugs. They weren't super hard drugs, but he had been on super hard drugs before, and he had told me that and been honest about that, which is what I think led to a lot of his paranoia. He had a lot of paranoia. There was one time before we moved away together when he was being really paranoid because he'd lost his ID, and I remember him blaming me, and then behind my back, he told my sister that he thought I had taken his ID so that he couldn't do anything. Mind you, he wasn't doing anything anyway. He was too scared to leave the house. So this made no sense. And then I remember me and him finding his ID when we were looking through the couch once for something else that we'd lost. And he was like, oh my gosh, my ID. And you could tell he kind of thought that I'd planted it. Like, it was such a weird experience for me to be like, trying to guess what he was thinking while also not knowing and just being innocent, like being like a bystander in a situation, but at the same time you're kind of being blamed for it. It's really weird. But anyway, so that was like just one example of his extreme paranoia. He would blame me for him losing things, which didn't make sense. I also worked a job and he didn't work a job. So I remember going to my job one day and I wasn't able to answer him once. And I remember getting like 50 texts from him once, just saying, babe, please answer. Normally you answer. Like, he was just really paranoid. And I felt really bad for him and I loved him. So I didn't care. I was like, I'm so sorry, babe. I was working. I totally wasn't checking my phone. I'm so sorry. So anyway, there were red flags that I ignored because I loved this guy. So anyway, we finally moved away together. And we didn't have any money when we moved away together. And I quit my job, obviously, because I was moving away. So we really had no money. And his family wasn't going to give him money for drugs, you know. And I don't think they knew that he was on drugs. He really tried to hide that from them and, like, be a good boy. And I had done drugs with him here and there, but I wasn't, like, crazy about them, like, addicted, like, needed them, you know. I didn't mind having them, not having them. It wasn't really my thing either way. Like, I never really enjoyed it, honestly. It gave me more anxiety than anything to do these drugs. It was what you would call white girl. Okay, that's what people like to call it, white girl, which sucks because I'm a white girl. It's embarrassing for something to literally be named after you like that. But whatever, okay, I'm a white girl and I'm talking about white girl, okay? Okay. So, um, so when we got to the new state that we were moving to, guess what? We didn't have any of that. He didn't have any of that. And he slowly, progressively went more crazy to the point of his anger issues like really got the best of him several times. We fought a lot more, and it's crazy because the fights we would have would start over me having anxiety, really bad anxiety over what was happening. I remember being really nervous about his mom not liking me because we were living with his mother and she did not like me, and she made it very clear. And that gave me horrible anxiety. And I remember trying to bring that up to my boyfriend at the time. And he was like, he got angry. He was like, don't bring this up. I don't want to talk about this. And then he kind of, I remember, okay, so I'm going to get into when he left me there. Because basically, we moved there and then it lasted about maybe 3 weeks. He went crazy and his anger issues took over. And my anxiety got really, really bad. Wow, I've said anxiety so much, it doesn't sound like a word. That's weird. You know when you say a word too much, it doesn't sound real anymore? Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Anyway, I remember my anxiety was out of control because of his anger issues, and my anxiety is what made him more angry. So it really was just this push and pull, constantly to the point where it finally broke. One day, we had both gotten a job at this one place. It was kind of a far drive for us to go there, but we both got a job there. It was actually really cool. Like, it worked out perfectly. We both got a job finally after being broke for like almost a month living in this new place. It was really, really hard. We didn't even have cigarettes, and both of us were like, at least me, cigarettes were something that I needed. And it wasn't the only thing he very clearly needed, but for me, it was really hard to go without those. So we were both kind of like in a state of like need for things, you know, no money, no food, kind of having to use his family for all of those things. It really sucked. It really sucked. And then at the same time, he was being really aggressive and angry and scaring me all the time. So like, I remember one time he tried to control what I was wearing, which that was what made me like really start to think. At my young age, I at least had a little bit of thought of like, that's not right, when he said something about what I was wearing. Come on, dude. Is it the 50s? Ugh. Anyway, when you're trying to control what your woman wears, that's when it gets murky. Because women should be allowed to do what they want with their bodies. Like, I don't think a woman has ever told a man what to wear, unless it's like a pretty bad situation where he needs help with his wardrobe, you know? Anyway, I digress. So, we were driving to this place that we both worked, right? And I remember this was when I brought up the time. No, this was the time that I brought up to him that I was really nervous about his mom hating me. It felt like she hated me. She did hate me. She really did not like me at all. And she made it clear. And it was horrible for me. A new girlfriend in a new town with this guy that she just moved away with and just kind of like feeling it out. To have the mom very clearly dislike you and show disrespect towards you, it was really sad for me. It was hard for me. And then my boyfriend would take his mom's side and they would kind of do this like playful banter about me when I was right there. And it got to the point of like, am I the girlfriend in this situation or am I the third wheel? And you're dating your mom. Like, it kind of got really strange for a while. And that's when I decided to bring it up to him. Like, I'm really nervous that your mom doesn't like me. I don't really know how I can improve that when my anxiety is super bad. And I also remember I asked him, can I play my music in the car today? Mind you, I was always driving around because it was my freaking car. So I was driving my car asking him if I could play music in my car. And then he was like, sure. And I played this really, really calm song because I love little meditative, calm songs. I remember it was a song that I'd found through an Apple commercial. It was like very, what's it called?
Walking through the universe.
It's just, it's like a sweet melody. It's like very just almost meditative, and it was calming me down. And I remember I was like, I'm going to talk to him about this. He raged. He reacted to me doing that by raging and saying like it didn't matter how his mom felt about me. I was being crazy. My anxiety was too much. And he was like, okay, I don't want to listen to this music anymore. And he started playing his music, which was like rage rock and roll that like made my heart beat even faster. Like it was like and I was like, great. My anxiety is doing great right now. I feel so great right now. I just tried to talk to my boyfriend about my relationship with his mom, and he totally dismissed it, and then doesn't understand that I need calm music right now at all, or care. So he would rather play music that would make me even more anxiety ridden. Like he just totally didn't understand anxiety, or he didn't have empathy for it. He understood anxiety. He had it himself. He just didn't have empathy for me for it. So this is where it's possibly like he's a narcissist. I don't know. I've dealt with a lot of narcissists. This is too far back for me in my life for me to exactly pinpoint him as a narcissist, but that's what my sister says, that he's a narcissist. Because he love bombed the crap out of me and then slowly showed me that he was like not the person I thought he was. And then he treated me like a piece of hair on the floor. Like I was nothing to him, basically. Okay, so I remember we were driving, he started playing the rock music that was giving me more anxiety, and then it got to the point where we were yelling at each other because I was like, I can't handle this music, like I'm having really bad anxiety, and he just started to scream at me about it, and I was like, you know what, in my head, I was like, I can't really handle this anymore. I don't think I can do this anymore. And I was like, do you want me to drop you off on the side of the highway? Because we were on the highway. And he was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. And I was going to pull over on the side of the highway. He's like, no, don't do that. Just pull off and drop me off at wherever. And I was like, okay. So I pulled off. Mind you, I'm already crying. Like, cannot believe any of this is happening. And he's just raging, screaming at me. And I pull off into this gas station, and he gets out of my car, slams the door, starts screaming at me about how my ex ruined me, which is the worst thing that could have been said to me at this time. I was so young and was already feeling like my past had ruined me. So for him to say that, it was just, like he was trying to make me feel bad for his anger issues, giving me anxiety. Like it did not make sense. So I remember driving away, and he was literally screaming at the air. Like, I remember being at least 40 feet away from him physically in my car driving away, and he was still, like, screaming at the air, like, and I was like, all right, I'm not okay. Like, I don't think I've ever cried this hard in my entire life. Whew. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do this as a part 1, because this is a really long video. If you guys would like the part 2, you can go ahead and watch the part 2. A lot more comes from this, and I think that's why I'm going to make this a part 2, because I'm already really overwhelmed by how much I've told in this story. So, yeah, I need to go take a break. Thank you so much for watching if you watched this far. Leave a doggy emoji if you watched this far, because she's absolutely gorgeous. She's my best freaking friend. She's awesome. Look at her. Okay, bad timing, but I love you. You're perfect. She's perfect. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I will have part 2 linked below. Thank you so much for watching. Whatever you are doing, have a good day, good night, good evening. Bye, guys. He says, finish it up, Mom. Yeah, finish it up, please. I love you. You're perfect. Say bye. Love you. Yep. Love you. So would like to mention that I am affiliated with this mushroom company. They sell mushroom honey and mushroom chocolates, and it's legal to buy it online as long as it's legal in your state. I'm in Colorado, so it's legal for me to buy this mushroom honey, and like, I don't know, if you would like to trip, you can trip, but for me, I just like to take a little bit and microdose it. That's also what they recommend it for anyway. It's like medicinal, you know, properties. It's better to microdose. It's really nice to microdose. But anyway, yeah, I'll go grab it and I'll show you. This is my mushroom honey. Oh, her name is Honey. That's probably why she's getting excited. Yes. The company is called Soul Cybin. And yeah, it says medicinal honey, reduce stress, balance mood, calm the mind. And I am now affiliated with them. Ooh, see, no wonder I took those off. Yikes. So you can, maybe I should have put them on though for this little ad read so that I look different. Boop. Psilocybin. It's actually really good. You can't tell, like, it's not like it's disgusting or anything. It's just, like they grind up the mushrooms into a powder and then they mix it in to the honey. And then you just take a little tiny bit on a spoon, and it's really nice. I like to say microdosing is like taking a happy pill. It's super nice. I love it. It's also recommended to take it with an empty stomach, which is interesting. I didn't really know that, but until I like read it one day and I was like, oh, okay, good to note. It's a very good company. It's something that I've wanted to tell you guys about for a long time, and it's something that has helped me, honestly. My last jar lasted me almost a year. I just bought this new jar and it will probably last me another year because I microdose it. So I don't take very much at once at all because you don't need to. But yeah, and you want to keep it in your fridge. And honey also stays good forever. So you don't need to worry about it going bad. It's awesome. Okay. That's the end of the ad read day. I'm not used to doing these. This is weird. Channel is sponsored by a website called Wildflower. For the rest of this ad read, I'm going to say sax, like saxophone, instead of the word that I need to say. So let's talk more about Wildflower Saxophone. They are a wellness company. First, I'll tell you about what I've purchased from there so far. Now, I will say, I bought this without having any experience with said item. I'll show you this side. The other thing that I purchased on their website are some period cups. They're silicone, and it's really great for if you want to reduce your carbon footprint in the environment. They are used for replacements in feminine products. These period cups I got from Wildflower are really, really high quality. They're the perfect size for me. They have all different shapes and sizes on their website of period cups and toys. So let's get more into the website itself. Right off the bat, the website is extremely inclusive. I absolutely love it. That's the first thing that really drew me in to this website. Was not only do they talk about saxophone wellness, but they talk about inclusivity and how you can learn how to be more inclusive and things like that. Here's one example of something called the NB. If you scroll down, it will tell you what it is good for, what it's best used for, and if you scroll even more, you get some pretty detailed, pretty honest, and great reviews, which, I don't know, for me it's nice to see honest reviews on a website, but not only that, it's pretty dang entertaining to, if you never have, go through the reviews of saxophone toys. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Anyway, my favorite part about this website isn't even the toys and the inclusivity, it is the articles that they give you about saxophone education. It's so hard to keep remembering to say saxophone. When you go to this tab, And there's tons of articles about gender, how-to guides, relationships, sex and body positivity, toys and tools, and my favorite I found, mental health. Super helpful. It's so wonderful to see an adult website that promotes saxophone wellness and education rather than just trying to throw stuff at you to buy constantly. Consider shopping around the site. Again, my affiliate link is in the description below. And if you can't spend money right now, I fully understand. Check out the site anyway and read the articles that they have to offer because it's never too late to learn new things. Purchase anything through my link, then I will get part of that commission, so you would be supporting me.